Peace. This is Wise for Wise Words Media, and the New York Knicks have failed their first big test of the year. That big test was a 7-game stretch against 6 of the top teams, or presumably top teams, in the Eastern Conference, which were the Milwaukee Bucks and Cleveland on the road. Then they were going back home to play teams like Philly. They also had games against Atlanta, Brooklyn, Boston, and they eventually played also the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Knicks played horribly. There was nothing to write home about on that. You know, they won 2 games, and I really don't even count one of those games because they played Philly without Joel Embiid or James Harden. And it took them to the very end, the last minute, to win that game without either 2 of their stars. So, to me, I really look at it like they went 1-6. And especially when you lose to a Kyrie Irving-less Brooklyn Nets team, it just feels like more of the same. But my biggest takeaway from all of what happened in this first test that they had this season was the worst thing that they did this offseason wasn't skipping out on Donovan Mitchell. The worst thing that happened was not going after DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray was given to the Atlanta Hawks for Danilo Gallinari and some lemon pepper wings. That's all the San Antonio Spurs asked for to get to trade away to Atlanta. That's all Atlanta had to give up. And for some lemon pepper wings and Gallinari, the Atlanta Hawks got one of the youngest rising stars in the NBA. And the Knicks, with all this draft capital, couldn't get... You know, DeJounte Murray, it almost was like he took that game personal against the Knicks at the Garden. There was one instant in particular, and Jalen Brunson has been running a good point guard. He's been a good point guard, but the one big knock against him so far is he's not defensive. And I don't want to hear the thing about size or he's small, because one of the smallest players in the history of the NBA is Muggsy Bogues, who was at like 5'3". And Muggsy Bogues was one of the best defensive players in the entire NBA. That's why he got the name Muggsy, because he was tough. You know, he was a tough dude. But he was so small that one time he moved. He bought a house, I forgot where, maybe it could have been in Charlotte, where he ended up going pro. And when he bought the house, the local kids in the neighborhood knocked on the door and they asked if Muggsy could come out and play, if the new kid could come outside and play. That's how small Muggsy Bogues was. But he was one of the toughest defenders in the NBA. And so there's no excuse. Jalen Brunson is not a good defender. And DeJounte Murray, in contrast, is one of the best defenders in the league. He's 6'5", 6'6", lengthy, great perimeter defender, led the league last year in steals, and he almost averages a triple-double. He lit the Knicks up for 36 points. And one play in particular that I can't forget is when he stole the ball from Jalen Brunson, and after stealing the ball from Brunson, he goes and he looks back at Jalen Brunson, and he just stares at him and just gives him this look like that's what you got? You know what I'm saying? He just give him this stare like, that's what you working with? And he just steals the ball and starts laughing at him and goes up for a dunk. Like, when I seen that, I said, okay, this is the mistake that the Knicks made. The Knicks made that type of mistake because this is a guy that can defend, can score, can distribute the ball. He young dude that does it all. He reminds me of a smooth Russell Westbrook, because, you know, Russell Westbrook, although he do all those things, he's wild and angry, and that's what I love about that man. He plays with this ferocity. But DeJounte Murray does all those things Westbrook does, but smooth. And that's my biggest takeaway from this Knicks offseason. They obviously dropped the ball with Donovan Mitchell for Quentin Grimes and unprotected picks, which they're going to blow anyway because the Knicks don't know how to draft. So these dudes go and blow the Donovan Mitchell trade, and they go and mess up on the DeJounte Murray. And this is what you're going to get. You're going to get, because this is a league, I say it time and time again, the NBA is the only league where stars rule. The NFL, you don't need the most stars to win. MLB, you don't need the most stars. The NBA, it's my stars and supporting cast versus your stars and supporting cast. Who's better? And you're seeing what Donovan Mitchell's doing. He's having a career year over there in Cleveland, and he's got them as one of the top teams in the East. As I told you would happen, this team is going to be Eastern Finals bound. And the Knicks are going to be stuck as a mediocre team, because when you have a serviceable, good point guard in Jalen Brunson, but that's all, that's like your main splash, you're going to be stuck doing the same thing in the same position. So let's see, let's see if they could get this thing turned around, but don't expect much from the Knicks this year, man, because this is a league of stars, and Donovan Mitchell, a star among stars that wanted to come here, the Knicks dropped the ball and didn't want to give up draft picks and Quentin Grimes for Donovan Mitchell. I'm Waz for Waz Words Media. Peace.